student of the drums, and I'm also a teacher of the drums too.
Hey, what's going on guys? Raj here. Today I'm going to be doing a review on Clive Christian's C for Men as part of the luxury fragrance series, a series I've recently set up on my channel talking about the most luxurious, amazing fragrances I've ever come across. I just did a video actually on giving my thoughts to you guys on the house of Clive Christian, just a few issues I wanted to bring up, and this video is going to be purely on the review of Clive Christian's C for Men. So let's get into the details of this fragrance. A 50 ml bottle, and it only comes in one size, will cost you £195, which translates to about $375. So this is the luxury fragrance series. You know, fragrances are likely to come with a hefty price tag in this series. And Clive Christian can be hit or miss. Some of the fragrances I find are amazing, some I think are not worth it. This was the one which I felt was worth the money. I'm just going to say it from the start, this is the best fragrance I've ever come across so far. You never know, there may be another one hopefully that comes along and beats this, but this is my favourite fragrance in my collection, the best I've ever tried. I'm also going to say that this fragrance reminds me a lot, and many people say this, it's very similar to Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. So if you like Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather and that style of fragrance, this is one which I'll definitely think you'll like. The thing with Clive Christian's C for Men is that it's much better than Tuscan Leather. It really spanks Tuscan Leather. It has much more depth to it, it's more intense, it's much more interesting. It kind of makes Tuscan Leather look like a linear fragrance, which it isn't. Tuscan Leather, I love it, it's a great scent. I went for this one, I thought it was a better option. In terms of the notes here, now there are a huge number of notes. In the top you will get white thyme, tea, green leaves, lemon, mate, elemi and mandarin. In the middle of the fragrance there is jasmine, rose, cardamom, raspberry, cinnamon, clove, cistus, saffron and orris. In the base of the fragrance, and the note breakdown goes on and on here, you've got oud, amber, cedarwood, tobacco absolute, musk, vanilla, leather, cypress, treemoss, styrax, costus, otherwise known as snow lotus, something I never heard of, tonka bean, olibanum, which is frankincense, and guaiacwood. So this is an enormous breakdown here, enormous note breakdown. And in fragrances like this you don't always pick up the notes. In here you definitely do pick up quite a few of them. I do anyway. In the start of this fragrance you get the most incredible, purest, natural, most intense fragrance you'll ever likely to come across. You get that kind of intense black tea tobacco opening. That's really what I get from the start. It's very, very powerful. People are going to smell you from across the room, you know. 1 or 2 sprays of this. I sometimes do about 3 or 4. The sprayer on this is not anything spectacular, so you could get away with 3 sprays is probably ideal. And the sillage in this fragrance is enormous. You are going to be filling a room. You are going to be leaving your scent trail in the room after you've left. Basically, it's that powerful from the opening. Also, underneath this black tea and intense tobacco notes, you also get something quite interesting, a quite fresh citrus note. It's the lemon just underlying all of this fragrance and just like peeking up and, you know, coming in and out of this fragrance from the opening. It's quite interesting. It's actually a different take because the lemon in here is actually quite sharp, maybe like a lemon rind type of note you get in here. It's definitely powerful. The scent then develops into, again, something more very intense. You get the spices in there. You get a very rich and opulent mix of saffron and cardamom. And you know, Clive Christian C for Men does not hold back. It does not, you know, it comes out swinging from the start. It really is a powerhouse fragrance. It's an interesting combo between the saffron and the cardamom. Quite dry, and what I also get in here is a burning smell coming from a leather, a burning smell coming from a very like a bonfire, like a wood. Almost as if you have a bonfire made up of different types of wood, the guaiacwood, with some treemoss sprinkled on top. You get a very mossy type feeling, like a wet moss type vibe, and you have maybe some oud wood burning as well. And on top of this bonfire for this oud and these woods, you've got these leather straps just placed along the fire, and that's burning away, just filling the smoke, is just filling the air. And you get this burning leather scent, this burning oud scent, which is actually comes through later on in the fragrance. I'll mention that a little bit later on. And that's kind of what you get here. But the fragrance is very multi-layered. I've mentioned, you know, tea leaves, I've mentioned greenness, citrus, leather, woods, oud. And also you get a very light, sweet, floral scent here. It's not anything too obvious. You're not going to be smelling it when it's projecting off your body. It's more of a when you get up close to the scent. So I've had this on now. This is just a fresh one which I've just sprayed on just now. Yeah, and to be honest, it's the rose that dominates. I think rose actually is a great note in a lot of men's fragrances. I've really come to appreciate rose in a men's fragrance. It can be very, very masculine, and it is in here, and it combines well with the jasmine and the orris. And to be honest, jasmine and orris is not something I pick up too much. Jasmine can be quite an intoxicating, almost slightly overwhelming note, but it's not like that. It's still quite toned down, and it's a light, sweet, sorry, excuse me, a light floral note which you get in the development of this fragrance, and there's a lot of development in this fragrance. And then it just continues. It continues being something amazing, and what you get here is a light amber note. I probably would have liked the amber to be a little bit stronger. That's more of a personal preference. Amber is one of my more favourite notes. But you get a light amber in here, and then this is where the oud starts to shine. If you're not a fan of oud, I think you'll like this. This is not off-putting, this is kind of safe. But safe doesn't mean not interesting or dull. It's very, very smoky, smooth. They say the oud wood they get here, they've got from India. So I'm not sure how much of a difference that makes, but if you're familiar with Indian oud, you will probably, and you like it, you'll probably appreciate this one here. And the thing with this fragrance, that there's so many notes in here and so much development that somebody else could review this fragrance and probably say completely different things to what I've said, because there are so many different notes in here. You could pick up so many different things, and it's quite a hard fragrance to describe, you know, but I think I've tried to do my best. In terms of projection, in the first few hours, I'd say the first 4 or 5 hours, it's strong projection. But then, you know, longevity, I get about 12 hours. So 4 hours of strong projection, then probably about 3 or 4 hours on top of that, where longevity is still very, very noticeable. If you spray this on clothes, like your scarf or like your lapels, or like a t-shirt or something, your collar of your t-shirt, you're going to pick this up and it's going to be very, very noticeable. The fragrance actually then dies down a little bit towards the final few hours, and it does become quite close to the skin, which is maybe a good thing because you've had so much intensity, and maybe maybe it's a good thing for you that you like it to be a little bit toned down towards the end. Some people may complain that this is an eau de parfum, you know, you're spending £200 for a 50 ml, I want this to project all day, 24 hours, and I want it to be filling the room for the entire duration of the scent. But for me, I never have those requirements and the desire for that to happen in a fragrance, because sometimes you can have too much of a good thing. And this kind of tones down and becomes quieter at the right time. The intensity of this fragrance, while it is good, you don't want it to go on for too long. It just becomes too much to handle. I think it's perfectly blended. I think this is a really perfectly blended fragrance. You know, up to this point, I've never given a fragrance on my channel a perfect rating of 10 out of 10. But Clive Christian is the first to do so. This is a 10 out of 10 fragrance. It's perfect. It's so complex, it's so intense, it's interesting, it's amazing straight away from the first blast. There's no alcohol scent, you don't have to let it settle in, it's just straight away an amazing fragrance. And I think a 10 out of 10 score, you know, it's difficult to come by for me. So many fragrances out there aren't perfect for me. You can't automatically say this is a 10 out of 10. I think those perfect fragrances are difficult to come by, but I found one here. This is amazing. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm really glad I reviewed this one, and I'll see you guys soon.